but I write down my day. And what I do is I go back and study that day. Like sometimes I might get sick, I might be overtrained, I might gain a couple pounds here, I might feel whatever. It's like my accountability journal of what I'm doing with my life, physical, mental. I had an eating journal, all this shit. And it helps me go back to, once again, study. I'm a lab rat. And I study myself. And I'm like, when I'm feeling fucked up, I go, okay, what did I do last week? And usually I can find out where I messed up last week. You know, how much I'm traveling, how much I'm sleeping, how much I'm doing all this stuff. And through journaling, man, you can really figure out so much about where you're messing up in life and what you need to fix about yourself. And that's the thing about, you cannot put bullshit in there. It's gotta be a real journal about, hey, today I messed up here. Today I should have been a better person here, and not just saying it, but actually trying to fix it tomorrow. You know what, it's important to have circles. It's important to have, like I talk about, man, like that big rabbit hole of bad people that you want to get away from. Like if you're a drunk and you want to stop drinking, you gotta get away from those people. You want to build this nucleus around you of people who are saying, it's not okay to sleep in today. We gotta get after it. Hey, let me see your journal. You're supposed to be running 5 miles today, you only ran 3. You gotta have those people. Some people need those people. And it's important. But you wanna get to the point in your life, it's real important that you hold yourself accountable and those people start to fade away because you now got it. You wanna be that person because they're not always gonna be there to hold your hand. In times of need, even the hardest person forgets how badass they are. So I've been through a lot of shit in my life. When you're going through a hard time right now, you forget all the hard shit you endured. So the cookie jar is a reminder that, oh, I can get through this hard time right now, but you gotta take a second or two to reach into the mental cookie jar. Let's say it's a fortune cookie. But in my mind, my mom used to buy these cookies, you know, in the cookie jar, and there's an Oreo, Chips Ahoy, whatever. That's where I got the cookie jar from. But you gotta open up and say, okay, man, I was in 3 hell weeks and I got through 2 of them. You know, I was in Ranger School, I ran about all these things I endured alone. I had to remind myself of the strength and the power that I have, that it's in me. It's just a reminder of how badass you are in hard times, because, you know, we just forget that bad time consumes our mind. The cookie jar is something I invented. As you all know, your mom has a cookie jar, and sometimes you might have an Oreo, sometimes you might have a Chips Ahoy, sometimes you might have an oatmeal raisin cookie. You never know. It's just in there. My cookie jar has every single failure and success of my life, something I overcame. So what happens in time of life when you're stressed out and things get bad, even the hardest guy in the world, me, everybody thinks, and I think I'm the hardest guy in the world. You gotta believe that. You gotta believe you are something. I will, in my mind, reach into my cookie jar, and sometimes you forget how hard you are in times of need, because you're stressed. But you forget, I'm a fucking Navy SEAL, I'm a Ranger, I'm this and that, but you forget all that because your life sucks. I calm down, take that 1 second, get control of my life, reach in the cookie jar, put it back in the cookie jar, reset my mind. You have to remind yourself of how badass you really are. Start to armor your mind, because your mind's like, okay, we suffer every day. It's what we do. We do stuff that sucks every day, so then when the suck stuff comes, you're ready for it. And that's how I started coming up. You know, I just started being very uncomfortable, and now it's like just a way of life. So I had this my whole life. I mean, I don't know if people believe in God or what. I don't care what you believe in. There's been this unrelenting voice in my head. We all have this voice. It's the right or wrong voice. And a lot of times that voice guides us into comfort. And my voice guided me into comfort a lot. But I had this other voice I heard my whole life saying, hey, motherfucker, what are you doing? Nah, man, we got to go over here. We got to go over here to that rock pile over in the fucking corner where nobody's at. That's where victory's at. We're over in that corner. So this voice was giving me all these answers. Now, I wasn't a real smart kid growing up, but I had this crazy voice in my head saying, over there is where the fucking answers are. And I didn't want to listen to it because over there was pain. Over there was me looking in the mirror. Over there was me being accountable for all these things that went through my life. Even though people put them on me, it's now mine to own. And I didn't want to go over there by myself. but I had to, and this voice was guiding me there. It's God, whatever you want to call it, but that's what it was in me.
There's three reasons why you suffer, and one is, well, look at you and the way you're built. It's inevitable. There's not very much of you, and there's a lot of everything else. And so you just don't last that long, and you're fragile across multiple domains, and then you're harshly treated by society, and there's no doubt about that. And then there's responsibility that can be laid at your own feet. Well, the existential take on that, and the thing that all these diverse people that we've been talking about, including Viktor Frankl and including Alexander Solzhenitsyn, as well as Kierkegaard, Nietzsche, and Dostoevsky, and the people that I've already talked to you about, is that the proper pathway through that is to adopt the mode of authentic being. And that is something like refusing to participate in the lie, in deception and the lie, to orient your speech as much as you can towards the truth, and to take responsibility for your own life and perhaps also for the lives of other people. And there's something about that that's meaningful and responsible and noble, but also serves to mitigate the very suffering that produces, say, the nihilism or the flee into the arms of or the escape into the arms of totalitarians to begin with. You need something to shelter you against your own vulnerability. Pathway forward is to adopt a mode of being that has some nobility, so that you can tolerate yourself and perhaps even have some respect for yourself as someone who's capable of standing up in the face of that terrible vulnerability and suffering, and that the pathway forward, as far as the existentialists are concerned, is by, well, certainly by the avoidance of deceit, particularly in language, but also by the adoption of responsibility for the conditions of existence and some attempt on your part to actually rectify them. And the thing that's so interesting about that is, well, two, as far as I'm concerned, and some of this is from clinical experience, you know, if you take people, and I've told you this, and you expose them voluntarily to things that they are avoiding and are afraid of, you know, that they know they need to overcome in order to meet their goals, their self-defined goals. If you can teach people to stand up in the face of the things they're afraid of, they get stronger. And you don't know what the upper limits to that are, because you might ask yourself, like, if for 10 years, if you didn't avoid doing what you knew you needed to do, by your own definitions, right, within the value structure that you've created, to the degree that you've done that, what would you be like? Well, you know, there are remarkable people who come into the world from time to time, and there are people who do find out over decades-long periods what they could be like if they were who they were, if they spoke their being forward. And they get stronger and stronger and stronger, and we don't know the limits to that. We do not know the limits to that. And so you could say, well, in part, perhaps the reason that you're suffering unbearably can be left at your feet, because you're not everything you could be, and you know it. And of course, that's a terrible thing to admit, and it's a terrible thing to consider, but there's real promise in it, right? Because it means that perhaps there's another way that you could look at the world, and another way that you could act in the world, so what it would reflect back to you would be much better than what it reflects back to you now. Because, you know, my experience is with people that we're probably running at about 51% of our capacity. I mean, you can think about this yourselves. I often ask undergraduates how many hours a day you waste, or how many hours a week you waste, and the classic answer is something like 4 to 6 hours a day. You know, inefficient studying, watching things on YouTube that not only do you not want to watch, that you don't even care about, that make you feel horrible about watching after you're done. That's probably 4 hours right there. You know, you think, well, that's 25 hours a week, it's 100 hours a month, that's 2.5 full work weeks, it's half a year of work weeks per year. And if your time is worth $20 an hour, which is a radical underestimate, it's probably more like 50 if you think about it in terms of deferred wages. If you're wasting 20 hours a week, you're wasting $50,000 a year. And you are doing that right now. And it's because you're young, wasting $50,000 a year is a way bigger catastrophe than it would be for me to waste it, because I'm not going to last nearly as long. And so if your life isn't everything it could be, you could ask yourself, well, what would happen if you just stopped wasting the opportunities that are in front of you? You'd be who knows how much more efficient, 10 times more efficient, 20 times more efficient. That's the Pareto distribution. You have no idea how efficient people get. It's off the charts.